Hi there, these comments are for Mel, and this is Michael from BetterTOEFLScores.com. And so far on your 3 TOEFL attempts, you got 22 on the speaking, I think, the first time, then you got 24 the second time, and then finally last week you got 25. So we got to figure out why. Why are you getting 25 on this thing? What's the problem here, right? Why aren't you 26? So I actually have the rubrics here. I think to get 25, and we don't know exactly, nobody knows. I don't even think the ETS people. I've called up some of their workers on the phone to ask them a few questions, and they're not very knowledgeable at all. But we don't know exactly how they get 25. So I'm going to just look at the specific rubrics and see what problems you might be having. So generally, if something that you do, maybe delivery, language use, or topic development, if one of the descriptors there matches what you're doing in the 3 area, but then everything else is 4, that could be enough to bring you down. That's my opinion. Let's take a look at it. So we have some students like to make an outline of the writing assignment before they begin the first draft. Others prefer to write the first draft immediately without any planning at all. Which you prefer and why? So this is just a typical paired choice response. So how do you like to do your writing? That's what we're going to try to figure out right now. Okay, let's see how you do that. Okay, give me a quick second here. I need to get your speaking here. Okay, here we go. I'm ready. Okay, so we have the speaking rubrics here. Okay, here we go.
To me, it's a no-brainer since I have always made an outline of my writing assignments as a student. First,
okay, let's go back to that again. I think the first word is no-brainer. I think you probably pronounced that a little more clearly.
To me, it's a no-brainer since I have always made an outline of my writing assignments as a student.
I'm going to say as a student. Let's go back to what you just said there.
Of my writing assignments as a student.
As a student, as a student. So that's called linking, right? So I'm just kind of taking some notes here. So you can probably work on your linking a little bit more within your thought groups.
First of all, having an outline before writing down the real work makes me more efficient. For instance,
the real what now?
Having an outline before writing down the real work makes me more efficient. For instance,
the real rock. Now, I think you want to say before writing a rough draft. I don't know about rock. I think that's the wrong word or words there. So I would say before writing a rough draft. That's what I would say there. So that goes to language use.
When I was a student in high school, I had this history teacher always asking me to make my assignment but without an outline. And I remember struggling a lot because I can't...
I remember struggling. You had problems with the vowel in that word.
Just writing down all the things spontaneously, so it was very difficult for me.
I've done all those things continuously. So you have a word stress problem with that multisyllabic word there. Continuously.
Secondly, it gives me a core, a structure. Again, I remember I used to have...
Instead of saying it, maybe say making the outline gives me a core structure.
This outline for other fields of study except history. And it helps me a lot to...
Yeah, I like how you refer back to that history assignment, even when you give the next reason, because that shows progression of ideas. So that's a good strategy.
Write all my paragraphs one by one.
Let me go back to the very end there.
History. And it helps me a lot to write all my paragraphs one by one.
Yeah, to write all my paragraphs one by one. Okay, so I think when I'm looking at it, it's you have the examples in there. And let me play it one more time, and then I'm going to give you my final comments here.
To me, it's a no-brainer since I have always made an outline of my writing assignments as a student.
Okay.
First of all, having an outline before writing down the real work makes me more efficient. For instance, when I was a student in high school, I had this history teacher always asking me to make my assignment but without an outline. And
Okay.
I remember struggling a lot because I can't just write down all the things spontaneously, so it was very difficult for me. Secondly, it gives me a core, a structure. Again, I remember I used to have this outline for other fields of study except history, and it helps me a lot to write all my paragraphs one by one.
Okay. So what is it? What does this mean here? Okay, so I'm looking at the four here. It says generally well-paced flow, fluid expression, speech is clear. It may include minor lapses or minor difficulties with pronunciation or intonation patterns which do not affect overall intelligibility. Or you have three, speech is clear, minor difficulties with pronunciation, intonation, and pacing are noticeable and may require listener effort at times. I think that's more where you are here, kind of in the three area with delivery. So you notice when I gave you some suggestions. You remember the word no-brainer? I think you have some problems with that. It's a no-brainer, no-brainer. Also linking the phrase as a student. I think you could have linked that better. And then you had two problems with. It's called the mung. It's called the wedge vowel sound is in struggling and study. That wedge vowel sound you're having trouble with. You kind of pronounce it more like a capital U. So you had a couple problems there. You had a word stress problem with the word continuously. So I think that the pronunciation problems are noticeable. They're noticeable. They're not just minor, but they're noticeable. I can notice them, pay attention to them. The language use I think was good. Everything was good there. I think mostly in the four area, except for that you use that word a real rock, referring to when you write the essay. I would use the term rough draft there instead. I think that's a better word you could use there. So you had some problems with language use, but for the most part, you have a fairly high degree of automaticity with good control of basic and complex structures. Topic development, I think, is strong, though maybe the second example and the second reason you when you talk about the rough draft and writing that, you could probably develop that idea a little bit more than you did. So I think you're getting 25. It looks like it's maybe a combination. You have a few problems with your delivery. You had the one problem with your language use, the term real rock instead of saying rough draft, and maybe you could have elaborated more with your second reason and your second example. So to me, that's why you're getting 24 on the TOEFL IBT exam right now. You're very close, but you're not getting through the entire response without having some problems. In this case, maybe one, two, three, four, five, six, seven, maybe 8 to 10 problems with either delivery, language use, or topic development. You still have a few things going on in there. You got to get it almost perfect, I think, to get that 26 or higher. Not 100% perfect, but better than what you did.